And today I have Jonathan Evans, who's an osteopath from Australia and is going to be teaching some classes in the online school on treating babies. So I'm wondering, Jonathan, if you could just say a little bit more about yourself and what you're going to teach in the school.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks for inviting me on. Yeah, treating babies is a passion of mine. I love treating people in general, but particularly babies. And it's kind of twinned with my second passion, which is teaching. So I kind of quite like engaging both of those. And in the courses that we're going to do, there's a couple of courses we got running, haven't we? And one of them is an introduction for people that haven't really done any treatment with people at all, whether it's adults or babies, like doulas or midwives and things like that, have experience of babies, but maybe don't have experience of treating babies or treating adults. So that's one course. And then the other course is for people that are experienced with treating adults, but don't have experience with treating babies. And really, everybody knows there's so many people out there with health problems and needing help, but there's a lot of practitioners for adults and there aren't that many practitioners for babies. And there's a big gap here where we see a lot of babies needing help and there aren't enough practitioners to fill that gap. And so that's the kind of driving force behind what we're doing here with the courses.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have some really unique strengths besides teaching and being a great practitioner, Jonathan. You have a real gift with technology and you have these wonderful videos about babies, and that's how people are going to learn, right? They're going to learn from watching what you do, and you're going to walk people through, really, because babies are a pretty unique population, right?
Yeah, there's a real challenge to teaching pediatrics or teaching treating babies. And I came across this back in, probably 2012, 2014, because I ran a lot of pediatric courses for osteopathy in Australia. And they were great, but they weren't as great as they should have been. And the reason being is because when we come to you can lecture and you can talk about what's going to happen. And then when you come to the practicals, what's happening is that you're pairing up adults, and you're saying to this one adult, one practitioner, right, we're going to practice this technique that you work with baby on this other adult. You're working on each other like we do traditionally in courses, attendance courses. But of course, working on an adult is not the same as working on a baby. And so then the gap to when you treat that first baby and you're trying to apply this technique that you've been taught, whatever it is on the cranium or wherever it is on the body, and then the baby decides they want to wake up and move around, or the baby decides they want mum, or the baby wants to feed, all of these different things, or just the fact of the skull, when you're working on an adult, your hands fit on the skull nicely. And then when you're working on the baby, suddenly your one hand covers the whole of your head. Well, what you do with the other hand, because you only practice on an adult. And so that's it was like frustrating for me because I could see that we weren't able to really bridge the fear that a lot of people have about treating that first baby. Because when you treat an adult, how are you doing? Is that okay for you? Is that sore? All this communication. The baby doesn't give you that other than a bah, and were they crying because you hurt them? Crying because you scared them a bit? Crying because they're hungry? There's a lot of this. And so that's when I started filming footage in clinic. So I was very lucky that parents that were bringing their kids in, I just said to them, look, can we film this? Educational purpose, we're going to create courses. And because there aren't enough practitioners for babies in Australia or elsewhere, they were all very keen. They could see the need for that. So I just shot huge amounts of footage. And so I just had this, it was a little bit like when you see from the old days when people had that old footage of the Super 8s where they would take, so much footage of their kids and then they bore you to death. We'd have to sit there and watch all of this stuff that you didn't really know. I had this immense library of footage, but of course it was hours and hours and hours of stuff. And so then we had to go through the process of starting editing it down and taking different clips, because you've got to show the different bits that are relevant and then build it into an actual library of courses.
Right.
That's going to make, take someone on that journey so they understand of starting from scratch and then they feel confident treat babies. So we did that, and that was Kindred Academy, and that's been hugely successful. I think over 500 practitioners have gone through the babies courses. Mm-hmm. And it kind of really aligns with the way that I like to teach, which is I like to be really practical. And yes, there's a place for theory, but look, I often fall asleep reading books about practice, just because that's the way my brain works. And so I'm really about practical stuff. And when we got the video, we can really show this is what you do. Oh, and by the way, this is what happens when it goes wrong and you upset baby, and then what you do. And so obviously then you stage it so you feel what's going on and you never get to that really upset baby. That's, and so that's really worked really well with the video footage. And we just keep building on that. And that's where we kind of met through those courses. And now we're adding that live element to it as well, because, that's great. The video footage is brilliant. And we can, underneath, you can use the comments. And so we can build up a rapport there and understanding a bit deeper about the video. But at the same time, having that live element where someone can ask a question and we can back and forth. That's I'm quite excited about what we're doing with that.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll link to our course descriptions, but there's some nice, real good descriptions of the things that you're going to offer and the assessments and ways that students can learn and continue to learn from you. We're really, really grateful to have you teaching and hope to get a lot of people working with babies.
Excellent. And actually, one thing we could do is, because I put a little bit more effort in my YouTube channel recently, and so that might be a good link, because there's a lot of video footage up there. So it's good to tell people about things, but often I think when they actually watch them and see the clinic footage, that's when they go, that's where this is coming from. So. Yes,
I've been posting your YouTubes. They're very good. So excellent. Yes, good. Okay. Well, this will happen coming up real soon. We've got courses in March and that go into April, and then we have courses in June and maybe and beyond, so to be continued. Thanks so much, Jonathan.
Thanks, Kate.